Looking Forward with Ryan Hughes.
Ryan Hughes.
It's up to Rhino to answer this challenge.
Your leader, Ryan Hughes, 105. Hughes on the inside. Hughes on the inside, though, trying to get a run at it.
Ryan Hughes has got a problem with the bike. He's trying to push it to the line.
We are back Wednesday, Big 49 Radio, and I am Ryan Hughes. So either listen up or walk away.
Well, last week,
whatever you want to do.
I took you into an element of the sport which we typically don't talk about with the whole comic book heroes and villains.
Yeah.
Everyone likes a hero. Everyone likes to have a villain. Although you seem to be leaning more towards villains more than heroes, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I don't know. I mean, villains. I guess villains are more exciting. Heroes just do everything right, right? So I guess there's just different things that's going to make someone stand out as a hero. Like I said, like Eli and Coop, stepping up to Ride the Nations.
Okay.
That was hero status. Dirty takeouts are definitely villain status. But this is motocross, man. It's a dangerous, hardest, most dynamic sport on earth. And so, you're going to have both those, and you're going to have, sometimes the hero could be the villain and the villain could be the hero. It just depends on the situation and scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that when Cooper Webb was with KTM, he was a bit of a villain, the way he treated Marvin Musquin. There was a couple times where he ran Marv off the track.
I mean, I think that's just Rubin's rough racing. I think Cooper just got this villain thing because he's just very quiet.
Okay.
Very quiet, very to himself. No excuses, no jokes, no over talking, just blah, 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 blah. Kind of almost like a Kimi Räikkönen, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And, but I think he got more of that. But then people have really jumped on his hero train from the effort and the
his work ethic.
I guess the effort and the consistency and just always being there, always coming back, being that guy. So he's kind of changed that villain, quiet guy into a hero just by his actions on the track.
Yeah, I was just
it hasn't been anything about him talking or doing anything. It just his actions on the track has kind of changed that vibe, I guess, for people.
So with talking, it's interesting because when Ken Roczen was with Honda, Ken never talked. Ken did not put out any sort of personality whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But yet recently, he's come out of his shell. I mean, he's doing freestyle riding. He's riding for fun. What he's done with the Suzuki platform, I think, is been really good for Suzuki as far as a brand is concerned. Whether or not they're going to get behind it and produce better machines and more current machines is a whole different story. But he's really built by himself the platform of Suzuki back. It's become something. Yeah,
I think with Honda, it's such a political company. It's a huge company. Yeah, and so it kind of you ride for Red Bull, you got to kind of be this way. You drive for, Mercedes or for Ferrari, let's say. You get capped. And so with Honda, same thing. You got to watch your P's and Q's. Suzuki has more freedom. With the team that he's on, not just say Suzuki, it's just the team that he's on has more freedom. It's privateer stuff, but it's factory parts. He has more freedom to be himself, more freedom to do the things that he wants to do. But also, once you get older, you kind of start coming out of your cage a little bit, and are able to, articulate yourself. You're able to explain yourself. You're also more kind of comfortable talking, I guess, right? And so that's kind of maybe what's happening with Ken is that he's just getting more mature, and also he has the freedom to do what he wants to do on that team.
Okay. It's interesting because, as I said, I've seen him do more stuff with freestyle. I've seen him come out of his role a little bit. Another rider that I like to talk to occasionally, and I'm sort of personal with is Carson Brown. Yep. The Ken Roczen, Carson Brown, let's go out on RM80s and race in Florida. I thought that was a great PR move, especially for Ken, because he is known to be a bit of a villain when it comes to his personality, and all of a sudden he's opening up more, and you're seeing that sense of humor come out of him, which we never saw before.
Yeah, and that's getting comfortable with yourself, getting older, more mature, and again, also not having maybe so much scrutiny above him because of the company that he's riding for or not riding for.
Okay. And I find that very interesting. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about this week, more so than heroes and villains, that was a carryover from last week. I wanted to ask you some questions with regards to European moto riding versus American moto outdoor riding and the training between the two. What have you seen as a difference between the European riders like Jorge Prado, when he comes over? What's his training schedule in difference to somebody like an Eli Tomac or a Jet Lawrence?
I mean, everybody might have their own little specific things that they do differently, but training's training. Everybody rides their motorcycle and does motos, sprints, technique. Everybody goes to the gym and gets stronger. Everybody rides a bicycle or runs for cardio. Done. But just, what else are you going to do? Some do yoga, some this, some swim. How you're eating when you're going to bed. These things can vary a little bit. The thing that's different is how they ride the motorcycle. That's the only difference. It's not training-wise. You're not going to invent some new training. You might do something different, but in Europe, they might not have to train as much during the week because they have more riding on the weekend. Where in America, you train maybe more during the week because a race day is so short. But the approach on the motorcycles where it's different. Like in Europe, they don't have Supercross. So when you don't have Supercross, well, then you have a style that's much more patient, much more traction, much more high gear, opening lines up, no clutch type of thing, just keeping that momentum and power to the ground, high gear. But when you come from Supercross makes you very aggressive.
Yeah.
Very aggressive. So now that aggressiveness is going to come out into the nationals, to the outdoors. So that's what you're going to see is like, let's say Prado is going to be smooth, barely hear his bike, but then Eli is just going to be clutching it and ripping it. Maybe even same with the rest of the guys on there. But also you're going to have Jet riding very smooth and clean, but he came from Europe, right? But he carries that style of riding into Supercross also. I just feel that it's Supercross that's creating more of an intensity in the rider. And then when they go outdoors, there's that clutch, there's that rev, there's that high, that super aggressive, more body English type of thing. And it's just because of what Supercross produces in you. Okay. Right? If you train fast, you're going to become fast. You train slow, you're going to become slow. It doesn't matter what you do. It's just the body starts getting used to what's happening, consistently. And so with these guys riding Supercross most of the time of the year, and then jumping into nationals, that aggressiveness is going to stick. And then, but European riders are riding sand, mud, rough tracks in the off season so much that doesn't call for someone being super aggressive. It calls for traction, momentum, patience, and then that's where you see that difference in the.
Is that why the European riders are so dominant in outdoor?
I wouldn't say they're dominant. You know what I mean? It's just we go into the nations and, they've been dominant when the tracks are muddy or sandy. But, America won not so long ago. America's always won, 1, 2, 3 in those areas. And then this year, Australia won, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but where are those guys racing? America.
Yeah.
You can't call anybody that's been over to America for 4 years a European anymore.
No.
He was born in Europe, but now he's been racing in America for 4 or 5 years. So you have adopted that style. Same thing if an American went over to Europe, you can call him American, but after a while he should adopt a style that's more European based, right?
Okay.
And so so again, the guys who won the nations this year are riding nationals, man. They're riding Supercross. They're riding in America, and so that's that. But I feel if they had all the top guys racing 3 or 4 nationals, all the top guys in the world racing in 3 or 4 GPs, it would probably equal out. It really would equal out. I don't feel anybody around the world is faster than the next guy. It's how can you be that much faster than being the best in the world? The best in the world are here in America. The best in the world are there in Europe. You know what I mean? It's such a small gap. Back in the days, maybe the gap was bigger because we had so much more technical tracks, Supercross, that it elevated the rider. But now in Europe, their tracks are a lot more technical, jumps, this and that. They have Supercross things, and the European riders' techniques are better now. So they're gonna bring that gap in. Now, if it gets muddy or sandy, well, then the European is definitely gonna have more, I guess, more potential to win, just because they have more time riding it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm making the point to where when you get a guy like, for instance, Tony, and Antonio Varola.
Oh yeah,
Corolla.
Yeah.
When he came to the United States and started riding Supercross, and he's a dominant outdoor MXGP rider. When he came here and rode Supercross, he actually jumped right into the fold and was within, I would say, the top 10 riders immediately.
Yeah, and again, there's gonna be some European riders that can do that.
Yep.
And most of them are coming from. Most of them used to come from France because they had a Supercross series.
Okay.
But now you're seeing a lot of the young riders have this American style, kind of more flashy, more, this and that. So, like Prado is going to be able to get in there really well, easy. You had the French kid this year. He won. He jumped in it pretty quick too, but he's young. So Prado is going to do the same thing. If D Wolf comes over here, he'll have that same
Marvin
thing.
Muscan.
Yeah, Muscan. They have the same thing. Pichon. There's a lot of guys that came in, but then you get like a Greg Albertine, things like that struggled a little bit more just because, they had like real European styles. You know what I mean? These other guys had a little bit more flash to them, a little bit more, a little bit more American style to them. And so it's an easier transition. When you're younger, it's an easier transition to get into Supercross. But so I guess it just depends on, where you're coming from. So let's say a rider from Holland isn't maybe going to be the best Supercross rider, right? But someone from France or Spain or Australia could be a good Supercross rider because they have series, they have tracks, they market it a little bit more possibly.
Given your background in training and working with various riders, would you rather work with a European MXGP rider or would you rather work with an American Supercross rider?
I guess it just depends on the rider, but as a whole, I would say more of probably a GP rider, just that they seem a little bit more dedicated, honor the sport a little bit more grounded.
Okay.
I would say, just because what Europe does, you don't have the flash, you don't have all these perfect tracks. Europe just seems like a little bit more of a, they honor their passions more.
Okay.
America seems like just take things for granted a little bit, because we have so much opportunity, this and that, just like, next. And so I would probably say a GP rider going off the majority of everybody. Now, if you said, hey, pick a rider, well, then that's a different story. I could pick someone from the States very easily, because there's one or two that, stand out, but just as a majority of it, that's what I've noticed,
Okay. Your training program seems to lend itself more towards the MXGP style of riding, is what you're saying?
I wouldn't say it leads it to that. I'm just saying that I would enjoy working with somebody that's very grounded, very passionate about their sport, that honors their sport, respects the sport. And sometimes, you get the riders from the States are a little bit kind of a give me.
Yeah.
You're not taking it for granted because they got everything so easily, right? And the tracks are so available. Supercross tracks are available. Weather's good. Blah blah blah. When you get to Europe, there's there's not many tracks. Weather's shit. There's a distance to places, all these different things. So you might honor it a little bit more. You're not getting as much as the American riders are, so you might honor it a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, I worked with riders here, and I've worked with Glenn Goldenhoff in Europe, and so not any one of them were any better, but I really liked Glenn because he was just kind of very down to earth that way, And so I guess America, they can kind of get, kind of high on their horse.
I see Max Anstey that way.
Yeah, a little high on their horse without having a horse. Right? Yeah, you forgot your horse, man. So, but yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, speaking of humble riders, I see Max Anstey that way. He's very
humble?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's older. He's been around for a while.
Yep.
And so again, once you start getting older, you start looking at things differently, have a different outlook on it. You know, you start respecting it more. You're getting close to your end of your career, so you respect it more. You find out that, you know, being a little bit more patient and not panicking over stuff. So that brings you back down to earth a little bit. And so I think a lot of times that grounded person has just come from experience.
Yeah.
Right? That experience has made you kind of go, okay, you know?
But guess what? We just cleared Moto 1.
Moto 1. Wow. And we got 2 more to go.
Yep. 2 more motos to go.
2 more to go. I better lube my chain.
It's Big 49.
Back from Moto number 2. Chain is lubed.
Chain is lubed.
Bike is ready.
Tank is full.
Tank is full. Arms are depumped. Ready to go.
Yep. Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Last moto we talked about various riders and the maturity level of those riders, and it's something I really wanted to jump into because we're going to be fast approaching here within the next couple of weeks or a week or so. Round 1, Supercross A1 Anaheim is right around the corner here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of predictions that we've made throughout this year. One of those predictions is the fact that KTM has officially filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And they're worried that they're going to be able to keep their brands or not keep their brands.
Wow, it's that bad, huh?
It's that bad. And they've budgeted enough money to keep the team going for this year, but we don't know the outcome of next year.
Yeah, well, the only reason they have the money to do it is because they have Red Bull behind them. I hear if Red Bull wasn't behind them, they wouldn't have any factory teams. They wouldn't have factory Supercross or motocross and GPs or MotoGP.
Yep.
It's because of Red Bull that's fueling the thing. And again, for a company to just go out and be that brash and then now be in bankruptcy, it just shows. I mean, I'm not a businessman. But it just shows ignorance.
Yeah.
It just shows arrogance, to just think you're gonna go gobble up these companies and almost put it to all these manufacturers. We're gonna be, getting a gas that's a red bike. If there's a red fender, it's gonna be our bike and not Honda. And I'd imagine all the Japanese are kind of laughing at them now, because again, this is the third time that they've done this shit.
Well, I was going to say, it's kind of funny. You and I have talked in the past about, Kawasaki's into shipping, Yamaha's into manufacturing
Honda
and foundry.
Has cars, just
cars and airplanes.
Yeah,
I mean, they've got a lot going on at Honda. Then you get to a company like KTM and
only sell motorcycles.
That's it.
Only sell motorcycles, and when the economy goes bad and your motorcycle is more than the next motorcycle, then what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And then you bring out brands that compete against each other.
Yeah.
And then all those brands take money to make, to buy, to promote, to this. So again, you buy Husqvarna a few years ago, and now it's already gone. You bought Gas just last year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's going to be done already.
Yeah.
And again, I think KTM's going to be done because anybody inside the pencil pushers are going to just be like, hey, how do we make money off our bikes? Let's make cheaper bikes and let's go to India. There's a billion people there. And so we can make these little bikes, these little things, and sell thousands of them.
Scooters.
Just thousands of them instead of only selling maybe 50,000 MX motorcycles. Because I've heard that Yamaha, out of all the off-road vehicles they sell, they only sell 60,000 off-road motorcycles a year.
Yeah.
Think about that. There's supposed to be 8 billion people on Earth. Maybe there's 2 million people riding motorcycles, but you only sell 60,000 of them?
Yeah.
That's kind of strange to me,
So I'm going to ask you a question. I know you're in private company right now. You brought your lady friend to the studio today.
Oh, she's heard everything, man.
Okay.
And nothing that could...
So
she wouldn't even bat an eye.
And we're talking about KTM possibly being bankrupt and
Yeah.
possibly changing their product line at some point.
Okay.
So this is a Ryan Hughes question
They
from
need a
yesteryear.
Rhino brand now.
Yeah, no, this is a Ryan Hughes question from yesteryear.
Okay.
Of the past.
Yeah.
But are fat girls like scooters? Are they fun till your friends see you riding one?
Yeah, scooters are like fat girls. You want to make sure you have a helmet on.
Okay.
Make sure you have a helmet on.
Okay.
Make sure you're dressed appropriately, and maybe not dressed like you normally dress.
Okay.
And then and you don't look up.
Okay.
And you just look straight ahead. Right? Because you don't want to notice anybody or anybody noticing you or anybody seen, and you definitely don't take photos
Definitely
or
don't
video.
need photos.
No, your phone is broken.
Phone's broken.
Phone is broken.
Phone's broken.
Yeah, and you don't call your buddy and tell you how good your scooter ride was.
Okay.
This is like it never even happened.
Never happened.
Never happened. You have a scooter and you ride from point A to point B. It's like never happened. You get a fat girl. It's like it never happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question to you is you go to India, you're in India, and there's some scooters to rent to ride around on.
Yeah.
Do you just kind of wink and nod and go, I know it says KTM and it's on a scooter, but I'm going to get on it and ride it anyway?
Well, when I went to yeah, of course. When I went to Bali, that's what it is. You get the scoopies, and you just I won.
Okay.
I won. Nobody passed me.
Nobody
passed me in Bali on the scoopy. And then I was doing wheelies down the people were blown away. Never seen anybody do wheelies, I do wheelies. I was there for a week, and I get back and I give the scoopy back. And the guys, then the whole license plate thing is just ground down from doing these wheelies, Yeah. So, but yeah, if they gave me a scooter, then hell yeah, I'd ride it all damn day.
All right.
I don't, Yes, I would ride a scooter. I would ride a scooter around town in public more than I would walk around with a
heavy set woman.
A heavy set woman. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah, definitely.
As you said.
She might be wearing me as a backpack. I get hide that way, but yeah. I like my girls fit, man. I like my girls fit.
I got it. I'm just thinking in terms of KTM right now. I wonder if Roger DeCoster's sitting there and he's like, all right, it's time for me to get...
What did I do?
Time for me to get fat girls.
Yeah,
scooter.
maybe fat girls. Maybe you retire. Stop going to the races.
I think he should probably manage the scooter race team.
No, you don't need to manage. You don't need to manage shit anymore. You don't need to manage shit.
So, with KTM possibly going away or changing, or what I heard is that they were renegotiating the company in a way that they're trying to salvage a brand out of it.
Wow.
And that was
bad, huh?
Yeah,
I mean, again, I've heard numbers.
Yeah.
Their track, they spend just on their Supercross track. I think they're spending almost $20,000 to $40,000 a month on their Supercross track, from the rental of the land, from the track prep, from all these different things. I mean, dude, it's like insane amount of money. Insane, because I have somebody that works on the track and stuff. He's telling me these numbers. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
So another writer friend of ours here at the radio station, Derek Kelly, him and his dad, they have a small construction company down in the Temecula Murrieta area. And his father's been in construction for a long time. Really nice guy, Darby. Yeah. And they've also been running Supercross tracks for years. Like that, all the big riders, Jet and Eli and everybody rides over at Derek's track for the most part. And they've done it on the cheap. Kind of a smart way of doing it, being a construction company. They've had their own gear. And I realized that having a Supercross track is a lot like having a gold mine. Eventually, you start having to calculate the fuel costs.
Oh, yeah.
Because D8 cats are not easy.
Yeah, and water trucks and stuff like that. But I think with this, I don't think they own the land there, so they rent it. And so the rental is like $20,000 a month or something.
Geez.
I mean, dude, it's ridiculous. And then the track builder's $10,000 a month, and then there's then there's water and there's this and there's that. So like the numbers was just like dumbfounded. Like how much money. Then they built that new building over there, $30 million building. I mean, man, are you kidding me? All for what? For a motorcycle company that's going to maybe go under? For just an off-road? And I mean, it's like, and it's not like it's going to get better, because the economy's not getting better yet.
Not yet.
If your bikes are more expensive than any other bikes on the market, that's a stupid thing too.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I don't know, but that's them for being arrogant.
Yeah, I feel for it because, we don't like seeing brands leave the sport. We don't like seeing things just kind of wither away. We've seen that over the years with Suzuki, how they were once in the 70s and the early 80s a very dominant brand.
Yeah.
And now Suzuki is, I would say, without the help of Ken Roczen, it would be almost wallpaper.
Yeah. No, it'd be like a memory. Remember when there was yellow bikes out there?
Yeah.
That would be more of it. So, but everything comes and goes. Everything has its time. Just like Malcolm Smith. Everything has its time. You got to put everything to bed at some time, and sometimes things are unannounced, and sometimes things just run their roads, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes things are unexpected. So, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Interesting times, and
saying that in conjunction with what also I'm about to say, which is you and I have talked about the ebbs and flows of Supercross, the attendance to the races, and the ability to kind of burn out the fans.
Yeah.
I've noticed this year more than any year of all that it's pretty much been nonstop.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, Supercross is coming around the corner, but I'm not that excited.
Exactly.
I'm not that excited yet because there hasn't been enough break. I just saw these guys racing 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, if that. And then, of course, they have the World Supercross and this and that. So you've seen these guys race a lot. So there's not really that hunger. Now, if you had 3 months that you didn't see anybody ride or race or anything like that, there'd just be this hunger, for Anaheim 1.
Yeah.
But just when it's just a distant, not that distance of a memory, it's kind of like, oh, okay, we're starting again. There's no time to kind of take a breath and the time for newness,
Do you think World Supercross and the SX extended season, so to speak, with outdoor and Supercross becoming one, do you think all of that is going to hurt them at the box office?
I don't know. I think maybe a little bit by seat sales, just because people have, they've seen it so much.
Okay.
I just think it might just change the way the rider-wise, like you're just going to get Supercross, a lot of Supercross-dominated people that they only ride Supercross, they don't ride outdoors.
Yeah.
And I think that'll probably come pretty quickly. They're going to ride Supercross, take a break, ride World Supercross, type of thing, or the Australian Supercross Series, whatever it is. I guess if you ride all the Supercross, you still have enough points to probably qualify for SMX. Maybe not. So I don't know. I think that the Nationals, unfortunately, will be the first thing to go. I haven't been impressed with the World Supercross at all yet.
No.
It's been very hokey, very joke, type of thing. They just need to have a better presence there. They need to be more professional. They definitely need to have more races than 4. And again, they just need to have a big influx of money that they can buy these riders and do what they can. They need like FU money. If you get some FU money,
need to do the live golf thing.
Yeah, you do that, then that series can really take off. But you're gonna have to have, these riders, and you're gonna have to have more races and things like that. And but it's there. I just hope that it can stay, because the more racing we have, the better it is for, making the sport more popular, because it's being seen by more people in countries that maybe don't see it. And I think that's definitely a plus, I heard on a rumor maybe that after in 26 that Feld is going to go more European, go world, more world.
Okay.
World, like take the Supercross series and go more world-based instead of just America.
Interesting thing to do there, but the problem is now you've got FIM, who is the world sanctioning body.
Yeah.
They've launched their whole thing in with the WSX people, so that means either A, the WSX people are going to sell to Feld, or vice versa. Yeah,
I don't know. Again, that was just kind of a hearsay, a talk.
Okay.
I don't know if it has any weight to it, but just that would be cool if it happened. I think Supercross needs to be more world dominant, world based.
Yeah.
And you would get some big popularity to it. And then it'd look like, it'd be a cool series. The Philippines, Australia, Sao Paulo,
especially with TV coverage.
Yeah, Tokyo it'd be cool.
Yeah.
And they could do it very easily with the way they ship stuff. That's not a problem. Just again, I think it'd bring a boost to the sport because the sport needs sometimes a little bit of an injection of newness or
change
to make things a little bit more exciting, especially when things are just getting kind of I guess overused, meaning things are getting kind of worn out just by same track, so many races, such a long year. You kind of get it's like the Formula One, they do it right because they go a long year, a lot of races, but then there's a huge break.
Yeah,
like you won't see these guys Formula One until March.
Yeah.
March, then they come out with the car liveries and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But there's a huge break, so then when March comes around, everybody's just going, "Oh man, I can't wait to see these cars. I can't wait to see this." But if Formula One just happened a month ago, there wouldn't be that much excitement for them to be seen again just the following year.
As a Formula One,
it doesn't really give people enough time, or it doesn't give riders a chance to kind of excel more, or kind of lose their touch more, right? Because everybody's just right there, so nobody's going to really excel more because you don't have time. It's not like a time to put in that extra training or whatever it is, or someone that gets a little bit lazy, loses his flow. You're just always in the mix, so all the riders are always going to be kind of the same as before.
As a Formula One fan, which you are, how do you participate with Formula One in the United States, knowing that there's a very limited number of tracks that they do anything in the United States with?
With Formula One?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have Austin, Miami, and Las Vegas. So two of them they have to make. The one in Miami and Las Vegas they have to construct.
Yeah.
The one in Texas, of course, it's already there. But they have it down pat. They have a system. They have a system that works, and so that's good. But I think just Supercross needs to open their doors and go a couple different places, maybe three places next year in 2026.
Okay,
that'd be kind of cool. Just three places, and it's all in a row. One flight, bop, and you come back, right?
Okay,
I think that'd be kind of cool to have. Maybe middle of season, there's a little bit of a European tour, or a world tour.
Got it.
Making 3-4 stops. Those 3-4 stops happen in a row, and then you come back to America and finish it out.
Okay, that would make sense.
Or what would be also really cool too is if the SMX went overseas and then got the European riders involved also. That would be kind of cool.
Okay.
That would be kind of cool if they said, okay, we're gonna not just do this in America, we're gonna go to Australia, London, and Tokyo or some whatever, but just have something, and then now the Europeans can come in too, make the track. Again, they're pretty easy. They're not a bunch of whoops or anything, so the Europeans could race it very easily.
Well, we just smoked Moto 2 here.
Moto 2's done. Okay.
Yep.
This time I'm putting new grips on for third Moto.
Got it.
Get little blisters. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Blisters on the hand on the big 49. Moto number 3, big 49 radio, and Ryan Hughes again.
Moto number 3.
Yep.
And so, last Moto we talked about the season of Supercross. We talked about the bankruptcy or possible serious bankruptcy of KTM motorcycles and the fact that they bit off way more than they could chew. And all of this, I think, was predictable. I'm just wondering if it's going to overall affect the racing season or the sport overall negatively, that we've been so over Supercrossed, so over motocrossed in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the time will tell. Will be this year, coming up. Ticket sales go down, fan base goes down. I don't know, but I don't think that it will. Everybody will be tuned in. Everybody will show up. Everybody will watch. I just don't know if the enthusiasm. That's the biggest thing. Your fans, right?
Yep.
So, but that's one thing. I mean, and on another note, I was looking at Instagram today, and they're talking about how, the sport. Everybody's now starting to get the feet on the pegs. That's been around forever.
Yeah.
It's been around forever. It's been around since the '90s. Keeping your feet on the pegs, all these different things. I brought in a lot of keeping your feet on the pegs, taking that foot out real quick and bringing it right back on.
Yep.
Always being on your toes. So I saw them doing something with Eli about that. And, everybody's keeping their feet on the pegs. Well, on the 450s, you can do, or the 4-strokes, you can do that more because you can be more patient coming into the corners. You have that power to be a little bit more patient coming out of the corners. On the 2-strokes, you had to rush in, rush through, and rush out to try to keep up that momentum. So that leg was kind of important. But if you went and looked back at Stephen Everts or Jean-Michel Bale, a lot of feet on the pegs, even a Wardy kind of type of thing. Our era, we had that going. But now this new, since the techniques have changed to being more toes, gripping, the bikes have changed by being more 4-stroke. You're going to be able to adopt a different style, a different way of riding. And again, you can't rush a corner with feet on the pegs.
Okay.
You can be very clean and smooth, and that's what a 4-stroke needs. But in a 2-stroke, it needs to be rushed through the corner a little bit. And so you're gonna put that safety thing out as that foot, right? And the sport's changing that way a little bit, technique, approach-wise. But I think that that way of riding's always been there. It's just being more prominent now because everybody's starting to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's starting to do it.
So with that element being what it is, and now we have e-bikes coming into play, do you see a change that's going to happen in the behavior on the track?
I think one of the big things is I think you're going to be a little bit confused when you watch e-bikes in Supercross. Because when I hear an e-bike go through whoops, it sounds like someone's fucking. Listen to it. It's like someone's having sex.
It's bed springs.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
So it's they're gonna have to change that up, if anything. It's not that impressive listening to that.
So I'm smelling a business opportunity for Ryan Hughes by selling playing cards that you can put in the spokes.
Yeah, some aluminum ones, right? Yeah.
Aluminum playing cards.
Playing cards. It's been. Yeah. I mean, they're there. They're good. They have their place. I know we've talked about this many times before. They have their place. They're going to make an impact, but not just from one company. And not just from, this. Our bikes are very expensive. But the thing is that anytime that they put one of those bikes up against a 4-stroke, 4-strokes kind of win after, later in the race. Now take that e-bike to Lommel. Take that e-bike to Europe in a muddy race. Take that e-bike and go ride Millville National or whatever. I don't think it will be so 100%, it's so much dominant, or great, or out of this world better. You know what I'm saying? When you put it in some real conditions, right? Like, okay, ride Daytona with it, ride a muddy Supercross track with it. And I mean, I don't think anybody's ever really ridden a mud race on that e-bike.
Outdoor track is a mile long.
Yeah, those things run out of power in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't really, if they come about, they come about. They do have their advantages, but the 4-stroke does too. I just feel like to get real comparison is take it to a really, really, really tough, rough track, muddy track, and see how it upholds, I guess, compared to an engine bike.
I was thinking more of the foot on the pegs routine there because of...
Yeah, you could use, some they come with back brakes or whatever, but you could have your back brake and front brake here, or front and back, and it'd be like a mountain bike. And then you'd never have to take your feet off, and that would be perfect thing. You could just be on your toes the whole time. You'd never have to shift your weight. You never have to counterbalance. So it'd be much easier to do on the peg stuff with those electric bikes. There's, you come in, there's a lot of roll with them because it's just free-wheeled. And then also there's a lot of traction to them too. So you can be, and they're fast. You can be more patient in the corners. And that's the biggest thing about keeping feet on the pegs is you have to be patient in a corner. You can't rush the corner.
No.
So that's why this style of racing, things they don't ride as intense anymore. The intensity isn't just craziness.
Yeah.
Because if you ride that way, then you go slower. You ride the way the bike's been developed to go fast, well, then you go fast. And that's by the correct gears. That's by holding constant momentum. That's from not starting and stopping. You know what I mean? That's by always getting traction. Then you're riding those bikes correctly. If you don't ride them correctly, it doesn't matter how hard you ride. Right?
So with the gearing being what it is, and the fact that on an e-bike there is no shifting, you're just rolling it on. I'm going to ask the question, do you think that's going to help or hurt the sport? Because shifting was a very key part of the riding experience.
I don't know where it's going to hurt the sport unless people are going back to, to engine motorcycles. What could hurt the sport is riders that are coming, little kids that are coming from electric and getting on, motorized motorcycles and having to learn to shift when they don't know how.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lack of progression. Like, okay, they're onto this bike, but now you got to learn to ride an engine bike, and you got to shift and all these things. Well, then their progression is going to stop. So I would only see the difference hurting the sport if someone's going from E to motor.
Gas.
Yeah, gas, and then that's the only thing. But other than that, it doesn't matter if someone shifts or doesn't shift.
Okay.
Right on the track, it's just as if this guy's going fast, or if it's a battle, or if he's winning or he's losing, whatever it is, it's how he's riding. It's not so much if he's shifting or not.
Okay.
Now if you're riding a four-stroke incorrectly and you're not shifting, well then yeah, you're gonna go much slower.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta make sure you're in those right gears.
So you recently, a couple weeks ago, went to Europe. You went to Italy, and you rode again.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you this a couple weeks ago, and I never bothered to ask you, but when you were taken off of the line, what gear were you in?
I was in second.
Okay.
I should have gone to third.
Oh, really?
Just because the track, it was a little bit slippery, rocks underneath.
Okay.
And I should have gone to third, but I did second. Most everybody's starting in second. But the 450 can take a third gear start for sure.
That's a lot of bike.
Yeah, it's a lot of power, But again, it's more of a traction thing than a kind of an adjusting thing. Because when you take off in second gear, wow, it's so aggressive that you're kind of just fighting the bike.
Okay.
You're fighting the bike. You keep it down, and then also so you get wheel spin. With the higher gear, third gear, you're not going to fight the bike much because there's not so much, explosion coming off the line. You're not going to lose traction as much, but you're going to have to be very clean with that clutch, clean with that throttle. But then also you could hang it out a little bit longer before you have to shift too.
Yep.
So there can be advantages there. You just got to do your practice, do your starts all the time,
How did you feel on the 450? Did it feel heavy or did it feel light?
No, the bike felt good. It felt light. Didn't feel too crazy fast.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I just have a very uncanny ability to adapt to things easy. And I used to do that even when I did my schools. I would just borrow bikes and I could get on them and just haul ass, and just I can adapt to things very quickly.
Yeah.
And so with that, not riding a 450, not riding a big bike. A few laps and you're already back to kind of feeling comfortable on it.
Got it.
It's again, you have that memory in you. Just, it takes time to bring that back up a little bit.
Awesome.
So,
well, we just smoked through Moto 3.
Moto 3.
Yes.
Wow. All right.
Moto 3.
Yeah. Didn't get any blisters this time.
Nope.
No arm pump.
That's because you put new grips on.
I put new grips on. Yeah.
So next week, let's talk about Supercross coming up here.
Okay.
I want to ask you something that you're not always comfortable in dealing with, which is picking, winners and losers sort of through the season. I know you don't necessarily like, calling the betting angle of it, but because we do have such an aged out 450 division, and you have a Jet Lawrence in there with a Hunter Lawrence in there that seems to be so hyper dominant, I was wondering where Ryan's going to put his money this season.
Yeah. I mean, they're easy picks, but yeah, we can talk about that.
All right.
Yeah.
So
good. Well, yeah. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully the show's been going good. Again, write in, call in for questions or topics you want to hear.
What's the number again? What's the number?
What's the number here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 866-492-4449 for Big 49 Radio.